Will you be running a summer themed sale this year? If so, feel free to follow along as we design a summer sale email campaign using both Mailchimp and Canva. We often create Mailchimp tutorials along with digital marketing videos to help grow your business, so be sure to subscribe to the eStoreKings YouTube channel. Once you're logged into your Mailchimp account, go on up to the top left-hand corner and hit Create. From there, we're going to select the regular email option here by hitting the Design Email button. Before we start designing the actual email, we're going to play around with some of the settings. Starting with the name at the top, we'll hit Edit Name, and then give the email campaign a title. Now, this is an internal name, so people on your email list won't actually see it. It's really just for yourself and your team. So go ahead and give it a name. And then once you're done, hit the Save button. Next, have a look at the audience that it's being sent to. If this is the audience that you'd like to send this email to, you can go ahead and skip this part. Otherwise, hit the Edit Recipients button to select a different set of contacts. Now, this is the correct audience for us, so I'll go ahead and skip it. Next, we'll have a look at the From name and the From email address. Mailchimp will pull this information from your account, so most times it will likely be the correct information, but if it isn't for some reason, we can hit the Edit From button over here on the right-hand side, and then make whatever changes we need to make. Once you're done, hit the Save button, and then we'll move on to the subject. So we'll hit the Add Subject button on the right-hand side, and we'll go ahead and add a subject line for our email campaign. We can also add a bit of preview text in the next field here. And as it says here, preview text appears in the inbox after the subject line. So this is basically text that can provide a little more information about your email. So once you're happy with both your subject and your preview text, hit the Save button. All right, so we've gone ahead and updated our title or the name of our campaign, along with the audience that we're sending it to, the From section here, which is the name and email that it's being sent from, the subject line and preview text. And now we're good to go. We can go ahead and design the email. So let's hit this big Design Email button. So now we'll go ahead and select a template to work off of. If you've watched any of our other Mailchimp tutorials, you'll know that these templates really are just a base. We often customize them quite a bit. So just keep in mind that even though you choose a template, you're really not married to it. You can make whatever changes you'd like to make. So I'm going to go ahead and select the first one here, although you can go ahead and select whichever one makes the most sense for your business and your content. We're going to start by editing the logo section here. And when it comes to designing email campaigns in Mailchimp, if you'd like to edit any of the blocks, you can hover over it and select the edit icon. Next, we're going to hit the replace link here. As you can see, we've already uploaded our logo in the past, so if you've done the same, you can simply select it. However, if you haven't, and it's a new file that you're uploading to your Mailchimp account, head on up to the Upload button in the top right-hand corner, click on it, and select your image. So again, because we already have our logo here, I'm going to select it and then hit the Insert button in the top right-hand corner. Once you've uploaded your logo, you can resize it. And once you're happy with the size of the logo, you can hit the Save and Close button. Next, we're going to move on to the text here. Again, we'll hit the Edit icon. Simply highlight the text and replace it. Now, you're probably thinking that this text is way too large, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight it and then play around with the size. All right, so let's hit Save and Close now that we're done with that. Next, we're going to edit the background here. Now on the left-hand side, you can see that we have two options. We can change it to a solid color, or we can upload an image. For this example, I'm going to simply use a color, and I'm going to choose a bit of a darker gray here. If you have the specific color code, you can enter it there. You can also enter the RGB numbers as well if you've got them. Otherwise, you can play around with the different colors in the color wheel here. Another thing that you can do with the top section here is play around with the height. Now to do that, all you have to do is click and drag to adjust the height. And since we've selected such a dark background, I'm going to go back to the text here, hit edit, and then play around with the color of the text because clearly that's a bit too dark. So I've gone ahead and highlighted the text. From there, we'll hit the color options here. And I'm just going to select the white square here. Now, before we leave this block, I wanted to show you can also do things like edit the font. So you could choose a different font if you'd like. Once you're happy with the text, you can hit the Save and Close button down at the bottom. Now, the main reason why I selected a solid color for the background of the header was that I wanted to create a pretty busy summer photo for the actual email body here. And I'll be doing that using Canva. Now, before I head on over to Canva, I'm going to take note of the size here. It looks like Mailchimp is suggesting that we create an image that is 564 by 212 pixels. So let's head on over to Canva. If you've never used Canva before, it is a very easy to use design tool. And I'll be leaving a link in the description for a free 30-day Canva Pro trial. Definitely check that out so that you can use Canva Pro for free for 30 days, which obviously gives you way more options and freedom when it comes to creating things using Canva. Now, although there are tons of different templates to choose from, we have a very specific image in mind that we'd like to create for our email with very specific dimensions. So instead of choosing a pre-made template, we're going to head on up to the Create a Design button in the top right-hand corner. Then we're going to hit the Custom Size button here and enter the dimensions that Mailchimp has suggested. Next, we'll hit the Create New Design button. And here we're starting from a blank page, so we're starting from scratch. But if we want to, we can select a template on the left-hand side here. And if you see one that you like, you can go ahead and click on it. As you'll notice, some of the templates have a pro icon on them, meaning that you can't actually use them unless you have a pro account. Again, if you want to give the pro account a try, check out the link in the description of the video. There was one at the top that I liked quite a bit. Once you find a template that you like, all you have to do is click on it and then start to make your edits within the workspace here. When it comes to designing things in Canva, I kind of work the same way that I do in Mailchimp, and that is by selecting a template that I like, and then I modify it to basically suit the needs of what I'm going for. Since our email is a summer-themed email, I'm going to start by replacing the image in the back. To do that, we can hit the Photos tab over on the left-hand side. And then I'm going to have a look for some summer-themed photos. If we scroll down, we can go ahead and have a look through all of the images here. And once you find one that you like, all you have to do is drag and drop it over onto the workspace. Next, I'm going to edit the text, and I'd like to include the text Big Summer Savings. I'm going to make that area a bit smaller here. And then from there, I'm just going to resize and reposition the text. I'd also like to choose a different font. So I've gone ahead and selected the text. You could also just select the item as well. And then if we go to the text drop-down up at the top, we can select a different font. I would like to use something quite bold. Maybe not that bold. As you can see, there are many, many different options to choose from here. I'm going to delete this small text at the bottom because I won't be using it. I've gone ahead and selected it, and then I will just simply hit the trash can button. Next, we will grab this text here. And again, I wanted it to say Big Summer Savings. Now, of course, these words are quite a bit smaller than the big word over on the left-hand side. So I'm simply going to drag from the bottom corner here to make the text a bit bigger. I would also like to play around with the alignment of the text. Right now it is centered. So if we hit the alignment button here, you can continue hitting it until you find the correct alignment or the alignment that you'd like to use. Next, I'd like to add a bit of space in between the letters, as well as in between the words too. So I'll select the text again and click on the spacing icon. We'll just increase the letter spacing a bit, as well as the line spacing. I'm going to select both blocks of text by selecting on the first one, holding down the Shift key, and then selecting the other one. And then that way I can move them around together. And not only can I move them around together, I can also resize them. Last but not least, I will edit the background image here by clicking on it and then hitting the Edit Image button here. And I'd like to add a bit of a blur effect to the image. So I'm going to hit See All, head on down to Blur, and increase it just a little bit. I find that that makes the text pop a little bit more on the image and makes it easier to read. So once we're happy with our image, we're going to hit the Share button in the top right-hand corner. Then hit Download. Now the file type by default is a PNG, which I'm fine with. You do also have the option to select JPEG if you'd rather. And then we'll hit Download and save it to our computer. Now that we have the image saved to our computer, I'm going to go back to Mailchimp. And since we've already selected the block, I'm going to hit Replace. From there, I'll click on the Upload button and then upload our brand new image. And of course, if you upload the image into Mailchimp and you realize, you know what, this image doesn't really work, or perhaps I'd like to change it, you can do so, of course, by going back to Canva, making a few more edits, and downloading the image again. But if you're happy with it and you're good to go, we can go ahead and select the Save and Close button down at the bottom. Now, if we go a bit further down here, I'll continue on by updating the text. So that takes care of the title. I'm going to move on to the paragraph here. All right, so now that the text has been updated, we will hit the Save button. Now I'd rather have these images moved up a bit and have the large button at the bottom of the email. So I'm going to simply drag and drop the block so that it's higher up on the email. And then I'm simply going to click on it and add a few product photos. So we'll start with the one on the left-hand side, which is column 1. I'll hit Replace to add the image by clicking on the Upload button here. And I'm actually just going to delete all of the text underneath the image. Next, I'll head on over to the second column and add our second product image. Now, the same thing on this one, I'm going to delete the text as well over on this side. Now, you could have left the text or replaced it if you wanted to, of course, but I really just wanted the images in this case. And then the last thing in the email body here is going to be the button. Now, before we edit the Start Shopping button, I would like to add a little bit of space between the images and the button itself. We can do that by dragging and dropping a divider block in between the two blocks. And we don't really want to break it up. We just really wanted to add the spacing. So I'm going to select none here so that it's basically an invisible space. And then we can minimize it just a touch. And then we will edit the button itself. We can change the text on the button. And then of course we would like to add a URL as to where the button is pointing to. We can also do things like play around with the background color. We can also remove the rounded corners if we'd like. And then we're going to decrease the font size just a touch. If you'd like to preview the email to see what it looks like at any point during the design process, you can certainly do that by heading up to Preview and selecting Enter Preview Mode. So this is going to give you a preview of what the email looks like and what it'll look like to your recipients. You can also view the mobile version. Once you're done previewing, of course, simply hit the X in the top right-hand corner. So we're just about done designing our email here. The last thing we're going to do is edit the social media icons. So if you have these social media accounts, you can go ahead and replace the URLs here. And you can also add your website address too. So these were the social media icons that came with the template, but you can definitely add more if you'd like. To do that, you can hit on the Add Another Service button at the bottom, and then select whatever is missing. In our case, it's going to be YouTube, and then simply replace the URL. It would make more sense to have YouTube sit with the other social media icons. So we're going to drag and drop YouTube up the list. And that's it. We've designed a summer sale email campaign using Mailchimp and Canva. If you're happy with your design, you can hit the Continue button up in the top right-hand corner. And from there, you have the option to finish it later, so basically save it as a draft, schedule it to go out at a later time, or send it right away. We hope that this Mailchimp tutorial will help with your summer sales. And if you found that it was useful, make sure you subscribe to the eStoreKings YouTube channel for more Mailchimp and email marketing videos.